Hi, I'm Callie and welcome to Kapowski Reads and happy Winterween, everybody. Aberdeen is still a snowy wonderland, so this feels like the perfect time to have Winterween. Definitely wintry, let's make it weeny. If you are unaware of what Winterween is, it is glorious, first of all. I will pop a link in the description to Gabby's video, which tells you everything you need to know. It's basically a celebration of all things Halloween, but not during October, bringing the fun into, well, in this case, January. There are 5 reading prompts, and I thought I would start this video by telling you what I plan to read. The first prompt is just to read in the dark or at night. Like I said, Aberdeen is a snowy winter wonderland right now. It is getting dark at 3 o'clock. I don't think this is going to be difficult for me. It's also not getting light until about 9. The next prompt is to read a horror or a thriller. I am going with Burn the Negative by Josh Winning. I fell in love with Shadow Glass by this author a couple of years ago, and I have been meaning to get more books by him, and I've only just done it. So he has to go on the list. I loved the one book of his that I've already read, and I really think I'm going to like this. The next prompt is to read a book that's got red on the cover or blood. I'm going with a Kindle read which is called Lured by Dusk by Angela J. Ford. Then read a book that has vampires or werewolves in it. And I have another Kindle read, License to Bite by Carrie Pultman. These are both Kindle books that I got on like a Stuff Your Kindle day. They've just been sitting, gathering dust on my shelf, electronically. And the final book prompt is to read a 2025 release that I just did not get to. I'm going with Shy Girl by Mia Ballard. I'm going to be reading this by audiobook. I am thinking I'm going to do some crafting because I don't know how much I'm going to be going outside. And it's nice to have an audiobook on the go. I'm currently knitting a jumper, but I'm at a very delicate moment and I don't really know what I'm doing. I am going to come back when I have made some progress in my books, and I figure I'll just tell you what every book is about when I have a little bit of an update. That feels like that makes sense. I have updates. Update 1, Aberdeen is still gorgeous and snowy. An absolute winter wonderland. I love snow, but I live in constant fear that the second the snow goes, it's going to just be ice everywhere. I'm not looking forward to that. I have started with my books though, and I realised instantly I've made a mistake. Not a terrible mistake, like we'll survive. But I realised that my 2 ebooks, Lured by Dusk and License to Bite, are not what I thought they were. They are romantasy, heavy on the roman part of it, as opposed to I thought they were paranormal, creepy books that maybe had a bit of romance sprinkled in, but they're not the books that I thought they were. I decided I was only going to read one, so Lured by Dusk, I'm going to put a pin in it. I'm going to come back to that maybe for another video. But I did read License to Bite because I wanted to tick off my prompt to read a book with a vampire in it. I don't dislike romantasy, just to say, it's just I want to keep the sort of spirit of Winterween for this video. This book was about an incredibly spoiled and arrogant woman who goes to New Orleans and she ends up being bitten and turned by a vampire. She has to get, in this world, you have to have a license to be a vampire, and if you don't have a license, you will be staked. And she has to get her license basically, but she's never really had to follow rules before, and oh, she does not like that. I'm going to be 100% honest with you and tell you that I DNF'd this book at 60%, but I'm still counting it towards my vampire prompt because I suffered through that 60% and I deserve the reward. I just couldn't do it. I hated the main character so much. She was so entitled, and maybe she'll change. Maybe there will be some character growth, but I was not willing to stick around long enough to find that out. I was actually kind of rooting for her to get staked. And I feel if you're rooting for the main character to be turned to dust, maybe that's not the book for you. The male love interest was so meek. He was so meek. He was so mild. He was like the Dairy Lee of the vampire world. And I realised, I don't know, if you're not in the UK, Dairy Lee is a very mild, near flavourless, soft cheese that is very popular when you're a child because it comes in little triangular foil wrapped shapes, and it's, you know, it's not bad, but it's no, you know, mature cheese. In this book, we are putting him at sort of being mid to late 40s. He's been a vampire for 25 years. He was turned when he was in his 20s. But he reads like he's an oldie Victorian gent. And I just wasn't enjoying the book. And I feel like if you're not enjoying a book, you don't have to finish it. And that's something I need to tell myself a lot, because often I will finish books that I'm not enjoying. I realised like I only had maybe 40, not even 40 pages, 40 minutes left of Kindle reading time. And I thought, I just can't do it. I just didn't want to. So I didn't. And I'm going to take the hit. One of my current craft projects is I am crocheting a scarf. And every row is my star rating for books I've read this year. I've kind of taken a gamble with how many stitches I do. For each row, I'm doing 2 rows per book, because this scarf could either end up being way too short to be a scarf or way too long to be a scarf, and I'll look like I'm in Doctor Who, which actually, that sounds quite gorgeous. So my DNFs are going to be grey, so this is my first grey, but I thought I can't finish a book just because I don't want to have a DNF so early in the year. And, you know, it's nice to get the first DNF done. I've achieved something. I am currently reading my audiobook, which is Shy Girl. I've only just started it. It's very short. I kind of feel I should have had the physical book because it's so short. It's only like a 6-hour audiobook, but the narration is so slow. It's rare for me to listen to an audiobook on like 1 speed, because I feel like it's such a slow pace to listen to, and I just don't really speak to anybody in life who speaks that slowly, that it's painful to listen to such a slow dialogue. So I'm listening to this right now on 1.5 speed, which for me feels like a normal talking speed. So I'm probably going to finish this book a lot quicker, well I will definitely, than 6 hours it's probably going to take. Well, 4, just maths. But I've only just started it, and I don't know. I've seen only rave reviews, and this is a little bit different for me because I think this is a much darker horror than I'm used to. I don't read a lot of body horror with a sort of wellness and beauty environment. So far we have a character, her name is Gia, and she has fallen on hard times. She's a very, very smart lady. She's trying to get work, but she's struggling, and she decides that she's going to become a sugar baby and find a wealthy gent who will basically keep her afloat. So far she's just been going on these dates, will we call them dates, interviews? I don't really know the proper terminology, but she has been trying to find her sugar daddy. And I'm getting the fear because I don't really know much about this book at all. I purposely didn't. I was recommended not to read the blurb of this book because apparently the blurb has a bit of spoiler in it. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll just go in. I'll go in knowing nothing. All I know is we're doing sugar baby stuff. There's a gorgeous dog on the front cover, which looks like there's a Scottish artist. Cannot remember her name. Lynn? Can't remember, but she does art like this. She's from Edinburgh, which is how I'm aware of her, because I like to know Scottish people that do things. So it just kind of reminded me of her, which is probably why I was so drawn to the book, knowing nothing about it other than fun dog and horror. That's it. This is nothing. I will come back with updates. I'm gonna make soup. Snowy, and I want to eat soup. Let's do that. I can listen to my audiobook while I make soup and do other things, but I will be back with an update where I can actually give you some form of substance on Shy Girl, because so far all I've told you is there's a sugar baby Something's going to happen with the dog. I have more updates. I made my soup. Can we just start with that? My soup. Delicious. I really am into making, I think it's called Italian penicillin. I probably mentioned it loads before. It's just a vegetable soup. That's pretty much it. Blended. And then you add little pasta stars, shredded chicken, and then I put some, usually pecorino shards. Flakes? No, we don't want flakes of cheese. Can't remember the word that I want. I put bits of pecorino on top, usually, but I had parmesan this time. Amazing. So delicious. It just really tastes like health and love. I have then also finished my book. And I was wary to tell you just what the book was about because I wasn't sure how much of the blurb was spoiler. So I can tell you now. Gia finds her sugar daddy and he wants her to be his pet. She is to wear a dog collar, live in a dog cage and be a dog. In exchange for, he's going to give her 10 grand a week. And she accepts. And then he doesn't let her leave. And he holds her captive for a really, really long time. This book was very difficult to read. There's a lot of trigger warnings at the beginning, and I was aware of that, but I also found this book not for me. At one point I thought I was going to have a panic attack. This book is not for me at all. I'm not letting my personal preference in the book cloud my judgment here though, because sorry, my hair's down, it's really annoying me today. I was left with a lot of questions in this book. Gia starts the book, she has OCD, and that is very quickly gone. It felt like, oh, this could be really interesting. How is somebody going to be able to perform these tasks when we have previously seen her reaction to certain things? Doesn't come back. Doesn't come back at all. I found it really hard initially, straight away, because I am about the same age as Gia is at the end of this book. So the way time works is that I would have been about the same age as her at the beginning of the book. And since I had a phone, my friends and I have always texted when we're like meeting a romantic interest or a stranger for anything. You know, you'll text and go, I'm meeting, this is who I'm meeting, this is what they look like, this is where we're meeting, this is what the plan is. Stranger danger, that bit of, here's where I am, if you don't hear from me, go to the police. And in modern day, my friends and I will share like our location so that somebody can get us. And if we don't come back, there's that. Gia doesn't tell her friend where she's going. I'm not blaming Gia for any of this, by the way. None of this is Gia's fault, because bad things happen. But Gia doesn't tell her friend who we meet. We meet her friend. They're close. They're besties. She doesn't say. She does tell her, like, I'm doing the sugar baby thing. Her friend doesn't judge. She listens. She doesn't judge. That's a good friend. But she doesn't say, like, there's no conversation of, well, stay safe. Let me know where you are. Send me your location. And Gia goes to the guy's house alone without telling anybody where she's going. And I feel I'm going to just chalk that up to desperation. But I would also say that is like instinctively like within you to be like, I am telling people where I'm going because I am aware of the world, and it's a scary place, and terrible people exist. And I don't know. I had a lot of feelings about this book. None of them are good. I didn't like the story. The story wasn't for me. It was a lot of repetition, and I felt like the book took place over a span of time. A decent span of time, and at no point did I feel like Gia's mental state changed. She is in captivity. She's being held. Basically, this is more a story of human trafficking, I suppose. And at no point does her internal monologue, because she's living as a dog, she's living as a pet, she doesn't speak externally, so everything's happening in her mind. And at no point do you notice her mental state change. And I feel, surely it would. Like, wouldn't it? You would slowly start to just lose yourself. And Gia at the end of this book, not really different to Gia at the beginning of the book, despite being through so much trauma. I found this book to be not just upsetting, that's a personal preference, it's not a kind of book that I want to read again, but I found the book I didn't enjoy the writing style. It felt very clunky. It felt very, like I say, repeating myself. It felt very repetitive. And I didn't enjoy the writing style. I didn't enjoy the characters. I felt like the book seemed like it was maybe written by multiple different people and spliced together. It didn't feel cohesive. It didn't feel like the book gelled with itself. It was a very strange one. Like, I don't think I would recommend this book to anyone. I have seen nothing but rave reviews about this book, so I'm probably in the minority. Don't listen to me. But I didn't enjoy this. I didn't. I felt gross reading it. It just gave a little too much like male on female violence for the sake of entertainment. And I don't want that. And I didn't expect it to be that way. I went into this book having been told it was a good for her story about revenge, and I don't believe it was. There wasn't really revenge. Like, there were things that happened, but I'm like, I didn't. No, no, I don't feel like that's the way it should have gone. No, I didn't like this book. I should have DNF'd it. What did I just say? Did I not just say, if you don't like a book, you should just stop reading it? I said that. Literally just said that with the last book. And here I am, forcing myself to finish this book. And what's the difference between this book and that book is License to Bite didn't have a lot of like rave reviews. It was kind of a middling book, like a fun kind of popcorny read. I just didn't enjoy it myself. Whereas this book, I kept seeing rave reviews. So I was like, oh, I'm going to give in. I'm going to like listen to the hype. And I shouldn't have listened to the hype, because the people hyping it clearly have different tastes to myself. That's not a bad thing. That's not a moral judgment on anybody. Different people like different things. And I hated this book. I hated it. It made me feel unwell with the content, but I also didn't find it to be a pleasant experience as a reading experience. Yes, it was gory. Yes, it was violent. And it was very upsetting in that way. But I felt like the actual book itself, the construction of the book, didn't work. I felt it was so slow paced. I kept feeling, oh, I'll finish one more chapter and then I'll go treat myself. I'll get to this stage and then I can pause it. I kept having to force myself to pick it up. I should have DNF'd it. Be better than me and DNF the books if you feel this way about them. The next book I'm going to be reading is Burn the Negative by Josh Winning. I've loved this author before. Please let me love him again this time. I cannot have a video which is a DNF, a 1-star, and then another book I don't like. I hope I like this. I'm hoping we get a win. Just please. I have actually managed to turn this video around. I have finished a book and I have loved it. I went to my first in-person Pilates class of the year because my first one was actually snowed in, but the snow starting to go. We've had a lot of rain and I was really worried. Side note, while I talk about the weather again, I was really worried that when the rain came, it was going to be cold and it was going to freeze, like the snow would be gone, but there would be ice, and I love snow and I hate ice. Terrified. I also had a lot of dreams where I fell and I broke my right elbow in the snow. And then my boyfriend had a dream where I fell and I broke my right wrist. And I'm like, are these premonitions? So I was quite scared. But we got quite lucky. It was snowy, then it was stormy, but it was warm enough that the snow's not gone, but it's not been replaced by ice. Anyway, I went to Pilates and I read. And then I went to another cafe and then I read. So I have now finished Burn the Negative by Josh Winning. This book is my second book by this author. I read Shadow Glass a couple of years ago. I've not stopped thinking about it since. I want to stop remembering it because I want to reread it. Until then, I'll make my way through his other books. This book focuses on Laura, who was a child star in a horror film called The Guest House. And the cast of The Guest House, cast and crew, met some untimely ends in ways that reflected the deaths in the film. And it's thought of as being like a cursed film. Laura changed her name legally in order to kind of try to move on from her past. But wouldn't you know, nostalgia's a big thing. And The Guest House is being reimagined into a TV series. And Laura is a journalist and she has been asked to go and cover this story. And she doesn't want to, but she's basically forced to and she has to. And the second she gets back to LA, she starts having blackouts and seeing this horrific character called the Needle Man, who, think Freddy Krueger with the shears. And then the deaths start to happen in exactly the same way as they were happening before, mirroring the film. And Laura is like, what is going on? She works together with a psychic that was hired by the TV studio because, of course, they had a psychic. And her sister is involved too. And they are trying to basically stop the deaths happening. And it's an amazing story because it is an unreliable narrator. Everyone's unreliable. Everyone's lying. And you're trying to work out, well, who can I trust? Nobody. You can trust nobody. And what is actually happening? If people are having blackouts, if people are having like these seizures, what is going on? Is there possession? Is there a demon? Is it a person? I did not know. I had no clue. Everything came out in the last 40 pages. And it was just so fast paced. I did not want to put this book down. I devoured this. I love the way this author, A, loves the horror genre. You can tell he loves horror, and you can tell he loves like 80s and 90s horror. Very like respectful, very like an homage. I feel, no, I've got no way of backing this up. I could look it up, but I'm not gonna, because I'm just gonna say it. I feel like he is a big Winona Ryder fan, as am I. There are multiple quotes from characters Winona Ryder has played. Laura is a huge Winona Ryder fan as well. And I think that made me love Laura, is I also love Winona Ryder. Therefore, I like you. I really liked Laura as a character. She was very tortured because she had been a child star. She did not want to be an actor as a child. She was kind of forced to do it. She was dealing with multiple relationship issues, including with her family, her mother in particular. And she was all the while being literally haunted by this film that she did when she was 7. 30 years have passed and she is still not okay, doubting her own sanity. I loved this. Amazing. 5 stars. So you may think that because I had a DNF and a 1 star that I am not considering this video to be a success. You would be wrong, because I am, because I had a 5-star. I had a 5-star, and I had like, not just a 5-star. This is a book that's gonna stick with me for ages, I feel, because it just ticked every sort of special interest box I have. I love a slasher horror film. I love 80s, 90s horror. I love a locked room mystery. I love an unreliable narrator. I love sisterly dynamics, which this had in abundance. I loved just not knowing what was going to happen. I doubted about 8 people in this book. I kept going, it's them. It's them. I was wrong every time. When the reveal came, I was still like, no, that's not what I thought. Amazing. 5 stars. Highly, highly recommend. I didn't have the reading week that I hoped for, but I ended with a 5-star and a new favourite. So I think yeah, I'm taking this as a win. We also had snow, which is my favourite weather. So, winner for me. I'd like to know if you joined in Winterween, and if so, did you have better luck than I did? Did you have any favourites? And if you didn't do Winterween, let me know if you've had any snow. Because we were snowed in, and that was fun. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!